Okay, class. Today we're going to be going over the life cycle of the frog. We're going to do a little writing activity. So if you could make sure that you have a piece of paper and a pencil and to do the activity here in a couple of minutes. So go ahead and get that, and I will be stating our objectives. We are going to observe and the changes that occur in tadpoles as they grow. We're going to be looking at our class aquarium fish tank. I have some video for you. And we are going to order the stages of the life cycle of a frog and compare them with our own observation of a frog's life cycle. I want you to start thinking about the observations that we're going to do, and then we're going to compare them in class. And we are also going to describe the life cycle of a frog. So as we have done with all of our other lessons, we are going to start off with our life cycle sound off. I have some added vocabulary words, but we are going to start and say these words together. Number 1, life cycle means the repeating process of birth, growth, reproduction, and death in a living organism. A cycle is something that occurs over and over again in the same predictable pattern. Reproduce means to make babies of the same species. Number 4, a frog's life cycle is egg, tadpole, tadpole with hind legs, tadpole with front legs, an adult frog. Number 5, amphibian is an animal that can live on land and in water. Number 6, a gill is an opening on the side of a frog's body that helps it to breathe underwater. Frog eggs are a mass of fertilized eggs surrounded by a jelly substance. Number 8, a tadpole is a baby frog, a fish-like creature that will grow legs and change into a frog. Number 9, froglet is a tiny frog that has recently developed from a tadpole. So we have a few new vocabulary words. We're going to be going over these words within our lesson, and we're also going to be going over them a little bit more in class. So now let's go and look at what our tadpoles are doing. Right now, I would like for you to write down a few things that you are seeing that is going on in the fish tank right now. What are the tadpoles doing? What do they look like? Their coloring, how they're moving. Write a couple of things down, and we will share these in class. I also want you to also think about writing down what you're seeing that is going on right now. What do you notice that is going on? Okay, hopefully by now you have written down a couple of things that's going on in our fish tank. Okay, as we have learned before in our previous lesson, we started learning about the life cycle that all animals go through. It is a repeating process that has no beginning and no end. Remember how I told you to think about the life cycle as a wheel, and I showed you a wagon wheel. How when I spun the wheel, it just kept going on and over and over and over again. And we talked about birth, growth, reproduction as an adult, the reproduction goes back to birth and death. Now, let's look at the life cycle of a frog. Remember, we had talked about how frog eggs were a mass of fertilized eggs surrounded by a jelly substance. Here is our mass of eggs. A frog can lay hundreds of eggs at one time. They all stick together, and they feel like jelly. After the frogs grow, they turn into a tadpole, as we can see here, and as we have seen in our aquarium. There is a tadpole. And then the next stage is a froglet. Froglet is a little baby frog that grows and develops its hind legs and its front legs. When it loses its tail and it grows a little more, it becomes an adult frog, as we see here. Adult frog. The adult frog lays eggs, and this process repeats over and over, as we have seen right here. Now, I'm going to read you a book, The Life Cycle of a Frog, written by Sheila Melton. Ponds. Frogs are amphibians. They live in water when they are young and on land as an adult. Maybe sometime in the summer you have been out at a friend's house or been somewhere close to a pond. And these are the types of frogs that we are talking about right now. Frogs that live in ponds. Tadpole to frog. Frogs go through a metamorphosis. A metamorphosis is a change in form from some animals go through during their life cycle. We're going to be talking about other animals who go through metamorphosis also in the future. Frog eggs. A frog's life cycle begins when a female frog lays hundreds of eggs in water. You see there's the eggs. I showed you a picture of eggs a minute ago. And as you see, they kind of have it illustrated in the picture. The frog eggs are laid usually along the banks or under lily pads, which are usually close to the edge of the water. And the reasoning is because these little grassy areas and rocks that are in the water, the eggs can hide up under, and so other fish and other animals cannot eat them, and they stay protected. Frog eggs to tadpoles. A tiny tadpole will hatch from each of those eggs. The tadpole has a tail for swimming and gills for breathing underwater. Can you think of another animal who has gills? Yes, a fish has gills. Tadpole to tadpole with front and back legs. The little tadpole would begin to grow and front and back legs. Inside its body, lungs are starting to form. It will use lungs to breathe air on land. So, the tadpole has gills right now. Gills. Tadpole to froglet. There's our tadpole. The tadpole's tail starts to disappear and its gills have been completely replaced with lungs. It must now go to the surface of the water to breathe air. Froglet to frog. Finally, the frog has 4 legs and no tail. It will continue to grow larger until it's an adult frog. And as you can see, here's our life cycle. When a frog becomes an adult, it will lay more eggs and the life cycle will begin again. Okay, remember to bring your papers to class and we will be going over them.